Hi, it's Becky from Lessons by the Lake. Today I want to talk to you about assessment and reading centers. So when I first started doing reading centers with my second graders, I was really worried about how I would know what they're doing. It seemed overwhelming to track what all the students were doing and their performance when there were so many different centers going on. But just like everything in reading centers, it all seems really overwhelming at first and like a lot to juggle, but the more you look into it and when you create those systems and structures for yourself, it makes it all a lot easier. So built into my centers, I have an assessment center. So that really helped me, that I knew that each student went to one center a week that was assessing our focus skill for the week. So that shared reading has a focus reading strategy that we work on the whole week, and then we practice that during centers. So that's what's being assessed during the focus frog. So the focus frog looks like different length passages differentiated for the students' ability and some way for them to show me they understand. So maybe it's highlighting text evidence, maybe it's completing sentences or short answers. So it's differentiated for the reading strategy and for the students' levels. I'll put a link to these in the description if you want to check them out. But so this is my assessment that I use once a week to make sure students are understanding our focus skill. So we have a technology center that gives you a lot of good data for free. A lot of these websites will track and give you charts and all kinds of information for free. Like I love using Freckle. That gives me the most information. And really it's self-differentiating, and it has passages on your student's level, and it shows you how they're performing and what exactly they need to work on and what level they're reading at. It gives you so much good information that you can use to help guide your instruction and what you need to work on with them. For our partner reading station, our buddy reading, they're working on fluency. So that's something that's really hard to tell because I'm not sitting there listening with them the whole time. So I make sure that every once in a while I walk around with a clipboard and I'm just casually observing them, listening to their expression and how they're reading and decoding. And their partner reading is on their level. So I have differentiated partner plays so that they're reading words that they're able to read and they're not struggling to get through it. So they should really be able to focus on that fluency. So I go around and check. You also can tell when they come to your guided reading station if their fluency is improving, so you can tell if that station is helping. But I like to make sure to walk around and just casually observe, no pressure on them, just so that I'm making sure I'm seeing how they're progressing in that group. In guided reading, there's lots of ways to assess how your students are doing. We do running records to check their decoding and their fluency and their monitoring for understanding. I'm constantly taking notes and I have checklists that I create for what skills I'm focusing on. And then once I hear the student able to show me that independently and able to talk about it, I check it off as I go. I'm constantly keeping notes as we're going through our different sessions to see how they're progressing. So I'm watching how the students overall in all of their different centers, whether I'm grading their work afterwards or I'm walking around to observe them, I'm checking what they're doing at all times. And this seems like a lot, but when you create a list for yourself of what you're looking for at each station, it really helps you monitor centers appropriately and make sure you're focusing on what you need to know from each center to give you good feedback on where your students are and where you can help them instructionally. So have that clipboard, take the time to track that data. I used to think, oh, I'll remember, but no. Then when I go to plan my lessons, I would think, oh, could they do that? Could they not do that? Or which group was that I wanted to work on it with? Write it down. They don't care that you have a clipboard. They don't really seem bothered by the fact that you're writing things down. They know you're a teacher. You need to write things down. It's what we do. So make sure you're making those notes. And there's so much amazing learning happening around you. Just make sure you're observing it and you're taking the time to soak it all in. It's easy to get caught up in just with your group at your table, but make sure you see what else is going on in your room because they're truly growing and learning right before your eyes. Just take the time to notice it and you'll get so much good data about where your students are and what they need to work on. So hope that gives you a little overview with how I infuse assessments in my centers. It's constantly changing as I have different groups of students with different needs, so do what fits your students, just make sure you're thinking about what do you want out of each center. So I'm going to put a link below if you want to read more about my individual centers and what I assess from them and how I manage everything. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm really happy to help and talk to you about all of this. I know it can be a lot. So let's talk about your specific students and how you can help reach them. And thank you for stopping by today.